Hey everybody, Dave Hagan here. Today I want to talk about what Warren Buffett says it takes to be successful. He says it takes one syllable, and Steve Jobs agreed. That's today on the Financial Wellness Podcast.
Welcome to the Financial Wellness Podcast, Dave's weekly message to keep you on your path to the financial success. Here is your host, financial problem solver and talk show host, Dave Hagan.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Financial Wellness Podcast. I'm David Hagan, coming to you from beautiful downtown Van Nuys. With me today, as always, Mr. Brian Reed. Welcome.
It's good to be here, Dave. How are you?
You're calm. You're mellow today.
I'm calm. I'm cool. I'm collected.
You want to tell us how your week went?
No.
No? Okay, moving on.
No.
You know, when I think about successful CEOs like Warren Buffett, it's hard to imagine how they have time for it all. How do they do all that? You know, I heard that Buffett reads as many as 500 pages a day, and yet he's one of the most successful investors worldwide, and millions of other traders look up to him. He's worth, $81 billion. We said a couple episodes that he was third, fourth richest man in the entire world. How does he get all of it done in a 24-hour period of time? And by the way, I've seen him at things, and he's calm, cool, he's relaxed. He's playing cards with Bill Gates. Calm guy. How does he get that all done? Well, according to Warren Buffett, it all comes down to one thing. I'll give you a quote. The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. Is that why you just told me no, Brian?
No.
Okay, maybe. I can see how this is going to go. Let's move on. How can saying no get you to more anything, more revenues, more clients, more opportunities? I mean, it seems to me to make things go right, to do more of all that, you need to say yes, right?
No.
All right.
I'm going to keep doing this.
Well, I think saying no actually eliminates distractions and allows you to focus on other things that matter most. But it isn't easy, it seems to me.
No.
Oh, I thought I had you say something. I asked you a question where you're going to have to say yes, and you still said no. You're killing me, Larry. You're killing me. You know, I think a lot of it's a matter of focus. You know, a few weeks ago, we talked about these people, 2F. We called them 2F, financially focused people. We were talking about personal finance, and we were talking about people being frugal, and we thought that was kind of a negative, kind of crotchety sounding term. And Brian, you came up with 2F, financially focused, right away. So I think it is a matter of focus. Saying no helps people focus. And you know, if you think about it, Steve Jobs agreed. He said no to a college degree. Our society thinks that that's kind of a questionable choice at best, but he admitted in a commencement speech to Stanford in 2005 that, you know, it was pretty scary for him to do at the time, but he said no to a college degree, and I guess the rest is history, you know. But he points out that decision allowed him to focus, his word, by the way, on other things that he was passionate about. He said, the minute I dropped out and stopped talking about the required classes that didn't interest me and began dropping in on the ones that looked far more interesting, the better he seemed to do. And in fact, Jobs pointed out in a commencement address, I think it was, as I recall, he said, I'm actually as proud of the things that we haven't done. He was talking about Apple at this point, as opposed to the things that I have done. He said, innovation is saying no to thousands of things. Kind of interesting.
That's cool.
I know when he came back to Apple, he looked at all the product lines that they had, and they had printers and all sorts of stuff. And he said, we're gonna produce 4 products and he put together a grid, and he says, we're going to do a mobile and a desktop version for individuals, and we're going to do a mobile and a desktop division for businesses. And that is our product line. And people thought he was crazy, but it worked. It worked. So I think it's a matter of focus. I think it's a matter of saying no. I think the same is true in volunteer organizations. When a volunteer organization sees someone that can do things well, someone that gets work done, they keep giving them more tasks because, of course, they want to be more successful. They want to do more things. And they will consume you if you let them. And you need to be able to say, what, Brian?
No.
I like it. Be kind. But only accept what's important to you. It's nice to be loved, but it's kind of a bummer to be, run ragged. Because organizations will take advantage of you if you let them. You have to be able to say, what, Brian?
No.
Nice.
Actually, Dave, I'm going to jump in here because
Go ahead.
my couple buddies got me a yes and a no button from Staples. And the yes button would say yes in all kinds of funny ways, I'm assuming.
Right.
I never saw it because they shot a video of themselves destroying the yes button, and they gave me the no button. And they said, you're going to start using this button, carry it with you everywhere, and before you get suckered into helping somebody else on something else, just press the button.
Nicely played.
There you go.
Nicely
Gotta
played.
say no.
Yeah. I heard that Warren Buffett was giving advice to some people one time on how to prioritize and how to be successful. And he said, make a list of the 10 things that you need to do. And everyone wrote down their list of 10 important things that they needed to do. And he says, now cross out the last 7. I just want you to focus on the first 3. And again, Warren Buffett was thinking about focus. He was thinking about priority. He was thinking about spending your mental process on the things that were most important to you. Now, to our listeners, we're heading towards the end of the year, and you're starting to think, I hope, about next year's strategy, next year's goals. I hope you're starting to evaluate how you did this year and how you want to succeed next. And it's not too late to adopt this powerful mantra. That mantra is
No.
when you
Just say no.
Just say no.
Just say no.
Wasn't that a?
That was Nancy Reagan.
It was, but that was with drugs.
Yeah.
Well, you should say no to that too, right? When you're juggling too many things and you're juggling too many responsibilities, you're liable to end up dropping them all. So think about what Warren Buffett did in terms of creating focus. A list of 10 things and scratching out 7. Think about the things that he said in terms of creating focus by saying no. Think about the fact that Steve Jobs actually agreed with him. Something to think about at the end of the year. This is Dave Hagan, and you're listening to the Financial Wellness Podcast.
You've been listening to the Financial Wellness Podcast, Dave's weekly message to keep you on your path to financial success. If you have a question that you would like Dave to answer on the podcast, go to thefinancialwellnesspodcast.com. You can leave an audio message with one click of a button or type your message into the question box. Either way, it's sent right to Dave's phone. As an additional bonus, each month, Dave will randomly draw from the submitted questions and pick the winner of a free 1-hour personal conversation with Dave to help you achieve your financial goals. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you receive the new episode notifications. Let's listen in now as Dave answers some emails.
All right, Brian, we have an audio email question. So if you would be so kind as to cue that up for us, go ahead.
Hi, Dave. It's Chris from West Hills. Is it a good idea to be incorporated?
Oh, good question, Chris. I like that. Thank you for sending that in. Let's talk about a corporation for a minute. A corporation is a separate legal entity that is created that provides a bit of a liability shield potentially. Interestingly enough, Brian, corporations were formed back when they were sending expeditions off by boat to the New World. And the people who were on the boat had families that stayed at home, and the Crown, the government, didn't want to be responsible if the boat fell off the end of the world to take care of those families. So they said, let's create a corporation. The corporation will own the boat. And if it falls off the end of the world, those guys are dead and we don't have to take care of their families. That's how they came up with the idea of forming a corporation. No lie.
So they were passing the buck on to the boat owners.
Onto the corporation that owned the boat. Yeah, I mean, they still do that today. These super tankers, they're all owned by a corporation, a single corporation, or maybe a couple, a corporation owns a couple tankers. The corporation has a ton of debt. And if the thing spoils up the Puget Sound, they go, well, all you can do is take the boat from us because it was part of a corporation. So they're still doing it, a little different twist, but same basic kind of idea.
Same trick, different
same
decade.
thing, yeah. So, Chris, a corporation will provide a little bit of a shield. Of course, you're going to have to form it. That costs money. You're going to have to file separate tax returns. Most of the time, there's some exceptions to that. Talk to your accountant. But the corporation is a separate legal entity, and if something happens, they maybe can't come all the way back to you. Let's take a couple of examples. Let's say there's a corporation, you're doing business and you incorporate the business, and the corporation signs a lease. And it turns out that the corporation can't complete the entire term of the lease. Or how about this? Last time we were talking about cars, let's say the corporation goes out and buys a car, and it turns out can't pay for the balance of it. Well, their rights are only against the corporation and not you, unless you've personally guaranteed it. So the first thing you want to think about is if you incorporate, don't necessarily guarantee stuff if you can help it. But the corporation is then responsible for that, and that provides a bit of a shield. Now, if you do something negligent, let's say you're operating a car on behalf of the corporation and you go out and crash the car. Well, the corporation's liable because you're an employee. You're acting in the name of the corporation. But you're also independently liable for your own negligent acts. That's why you still carry car insurance. So a corporation isn't going to protect you from everything, only certain types of liabilities. Now, does a normal person who just walks up to work or drives to work every day, gets a paycheck, do they need a corporation? No, probably not. Probably not. Does someone who's got a small business with a storefront, or someone that's developing software, or someone that sells a product need a corporation? Yeah, probably worth the expenditure, probably worth the additional protection. But bear in mind, it's a separate legal entity, and you're going to have to take care of that entity. You're going to have to make sure that you respect the corporate entity so that they don't try and get behind that entity and still hold you personally responsible for that kind of stuff. There's another reason that people form corporations. I mean, coming from Hollywood, entertainers will have corporations, and that way the money for what they do is paid to the corporation, and that way they can time their income sometimes a little bit. They can take expenses that they might not be able to deduct or write off and have those as corporate expenses. It's a way of being able to move their money around in a little bit different fashion, hopefully to their benefit. So some things to think about whether you need to incorporate. Certainly some circumstances where you absolutely would want to incorporate. I remember them telling us in law school back in the day, if you manufacture ladders, people are falling off ladders all the time. If you manufacture ladders, you want to incorporate, right? If you want to do something where you're driving something at a high speed, you want to incorporate. You don't want that liability to spill back on you. But think about that. Those are some things to think about when you're contemplating whether you need some kind of a corporation. Thanks for the call. I hope that helps a little bit. Brian, let's do another email. Go ahead.
We've got one from Marcus here, and he says, I see that one of the presidential candidates is talking about UBI, which apparently is Universal Basic Income. What is that?
Interesting. UBI is a concept that's been talked about more and more the last, 3-4 years. It's kind of radical, and people are having a hard time getting used to it. But one of the presidential candidates, Andrew Yang in particular, is promoting that, and that's one of his primary platform positions. UBI is an idea of offering families a guaranteed payment each month with no questions asked. As long as they meet some specific criteria, you receive the money. So Yang's proposing that everybody in America get a guaranteed amount, well, every adult in America get $1,000 a month. No questions asked. We're just going to give you $1,000 a month, which means a married couple would receive $24,000 a year from the government. Now, some officials are, or thought leaders are proposing less, some are more, but he is saying we're just going to give every adult in the United States $1,000 a month, and that would be a good thing.
No.
No, I don't want the money.
This is a bad idea.
Well, I guess unless you're getting the money, right? I mean, I don't know. Why would someone propose such a thing? I mean, do I dare say it kind of sounds like socialism?
I can't even wrap my head around this. I didn't know this.
No, when I first heard, and he said it in the debates. I've heard him say it. I'm going, yeah, well, I think that went over everybody's head, but this is what he's proposing. And by the way, he says it in the nicest, thoughtful way. He's the nicest guy. I mean, this is the guy you'd want to have a beer with. He's funny. He's Asian, and he kids around about the fact that he can do math so well and stuff. Of course, that irritated a whole group of people. But he's actually a really nice guy. But this is the proposal. Elon Musk has even talked about the fact that this concept may be inevitable, because as people are displaced by technology, they won't have jobs, and we're gonna need something so that those people don't become part of a disenfranchised group that would be part of a revolution or something at some point. So I don't know, but why would they propose that? Well, I guess you could say, well, it's a good idea to have a baseline of income or a safety net. Yang has said, look, you flush that additional money through the economy, and the GNP is going to go up so much that there will be so much more in tax revenues collected that will pay for the $1,000 a person a month. That basically we're just going to throw gasoline on the economic engine and watch it just like go faster and faster and faster.
Has anybody put together a PowerPoint on this, or a demonstration, some sort of a visual aid? Because my brain is not
right. When I heard this, I was going, no, that can't be. But
the amount that we spend can't. I don't know. Maybe it can.
I don't know. Somebody
must have run the numbers.
I'm sure he did, because he's a pretty bright guy. But it doesn't. It seems kind of weird to me. I guess if everyone got $1,000 a month, they wouldn't have to work as hard to put food on the table and housing, and it would decrease the importance of work in our lives, or it would decrease the stress maybe that we have in our lives.
Would you still have government assistance programs, welfare, or is that it?
I think you would. I think you'd have all the other programs. It's just that everyone would be getting $1,000 a month. I don't know. Don't you think it would reduce motivation? Now, I'm a kind of a free market guy, I think it would reduce motivation. People go, well, I don't have to work as hard because I got that grand coming. I'm not going to starve, at least. I'll have food. My wife and I will be able to cover the rent, in some low end of town, and we'll be able to put food on the table. We'll be good.
Wow. I need to do some reading on this.
I think it would slow down our great economic engine. I mean, our economy is one of the perhaps biggest forces in history. I mean, look, we outspent the Soviet Union into oblivion, and yet we might run the risk of slowing that down. I don't know. What do you think?
I want someone this Andrew Yang, please make a video
and explain.
Show me something I want visuals. I want numbers. I'm going to need some Excel spreadsheets too, but put together the whole package, and then I'll consider this.
Let's do this. I'm going to spend some time kind of chasing this down. Maybe I'll be able to find you even a good YouTube, and we'll sit there and figure it out together, because it does seem kind of an alien concept.
Ooh, pizza, beer, and
a YouTube on UBI.
Economic theory videos.
Well, the economic theory make more sense when you're sitting there having pizza and a beer, huh? But we'll chase this down in an episode, maybe 2-3 weeks down the time. So stay tuned, and we'll see what we can put together. All right, we got time for one more email. You got one more in there in your package there, Brian?
We do. I'm not sure this is, I'm just going to read it and let you give us your 2 cents. Dave, I'm probably one of your younger listeners. I'm entering my second year of college and I'm working part-time. My parents are paying for my tuition, so no student loans. The school wants me to declare a major, and I have absolutely no idea what that should be. Any advice? Thanks, Sean.
Oh, absolutely, Sean. A couple of comments, a couple of thoughts. First of all, your parents are paying for your tuition. That is so huge. I can't even begin to tell you how fortunate you are for that. No student loans. Most students are graduating with some student loans, and it does limit their options. In fact, some economists are saying that because there's more student loans in the country at this point than there is credit card debt, that pile of student loan debt is slowing down or will slow down the economy because people can't afford to buy a house. People can't afford to go out and think about a car. And it does affect your choice in terms of what you can do for a living, because you're going to have to choose a higher income living as opposed to something that may be of particular interest or a burning desire for you. So that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Secondly, declaring a major is a very common decision that most people have to make. I remember struggling with that just a couple of years ago when I was in college. But it's one of those difficult life decisions. And
I'm sorry, did you mean years or decades? I'm sorry, which one was that?
And thank you for pointing that out. Tough decision, tough thing that you got to make. But here's what I would do. I would, as Stephen Covey said in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, I would begin with the end in mind. Take a look at where you want your life to end up. Where do you want to be at the end? And then what's it going to take to get you there? Are you going to want a job with a tremendous amount of fulfillment? Are you going to want a job that helps other people? Are you going to want a job that makes you a lot of money? What are going to be your goals? Maybe all three, who knows? But you need to think about the end, particularly when you're looking at a major. Second, don't pick a major that has no particular usefulness. I mean, anthropology comes to mind. I'm sure there's many well-compensated anthropologists, but it doesn't strike me that there's a lot of jobs in anthropology out there. Think about majors that can be used across a broad spectrum. Business is great. English is certainly something that's can be used across a broad spectrum. Not something like speech. When I was in college, there was a major of speech. Is there still a major for speech?
I don't know.
You don't know? I mean, that was a major. That was a thing. How are you going to make money giving speeches? I guess unless you're asking for campaign contributions or something, right? So pick some kind of a major that is going to help you get to where you want to be. Pick some kind of a major that is going to help you be extremely good at what you do. Pick a major that is going to enhance your innate strengths and abilities and interests. And then check it out. Most college students change their major. So don't think like once you've decided you're locked in for forever and ever. But think about these kinds of things. Think about where you're going to be. Think about where you want to be. Think about your strengths. Think about your weaknesses. And then check it out. Pick something out that is going to be of benefit to you, because it seems to me that a college education used to be, hey, I want to use that as a tool to enhance my career, or I just want to become more fulfilled and spend 4 years having some fun. And I think that college is so expensive now that you really can't do the latter unless your parents are just willing to continue to throw money at your feet. I think parents are becoming less and less willing to do that unless, you're an athlete wanting to get into a major university and they're willing to write checks to have you on the team.
Minor in Mandarin.
Minor in Mandarin.
Foreign language.
I've talked to some kids that have, Far Eastern studies with a minor in Korean. Well, I mean, that's all well and good, but that's going to have a very limited usefulness. Now, in some careers, it might be extremely important, but you're kind of limited with some of those kinds of majors. So think about that. And don't let somebody, push you into it. I remember back in the day, First day of college, I walked in and the professor goes, or the advisor who was a professor, well, what's your major going to be? I said, oh, I don't know. Well, what are you interested in? Well, politics is kind of interesting to me. He goes, oh, well, then you got to be a pre-law. Well, he was also the pre-law advisor, right? You got to be a pre-law. And I go, okay, that'll sound pretty good to the girls, I think, So I said, okay, I'm a pre-law. And then he's saying, well, you got to take all these classes. You got to take constitutional law, blah, 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 blah. And you got to take golf. And I go, well, why do I got to play golf? Because the lawyers play a lot of golf. You'll need to know how to golf. And so I walked out with a minor in golf and a major in political science because I said I was interested in politics. So don't let someone tell you what you should do or what you want to do. Think it through. Go off to a park and walk around. Put some headphones on and really think about it and kind of connect with yourself, and then pick a major that's going to fill some of those requirements for you. Sean, I hope that helps. Good luck with that. And 3 years you'll be walking out and you'll have to get a real job. Good luck with that. All right. Well, thank you to everybody that sends in those emails and the audio emails as well. We appreciate it. It gives us interesting things to talk about. Brian, I think that's about a wrap.
I think so.
All right, everybody. That's a wrap. This is Dave Hagan, and you've been listening to the Financial Wellness Podcast.
You've been listening to the Financial Wellness Podcast, Dave's weekly message to keep you on your path to financial success. If you have a question that you would like Dave to answer on the podcast, go to thefinancialwellnesspodcast.com. You can leave an audio message with one click of a button, or type your message into the question box. Either way, it's sent right to Dave's phone. Remember, Dave will randomly draw from the submitted questions and pick the winner of a free 1-hour personal conversation with Dave to help you achieve your financial goals. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you receive the new episode notifications, or share the podcast via the app with your family and friends. This is your announcer, Nick Appel, wishing you every financial success.